Now, before I start this Oscar vlog, I want to show you guys a little something that seems very interesting. This is actually the ending clip and the last thing that I said on last year's Oscar vlog, and I thought it would be rather interesting to show you guys what I said. Let's see what's gonna happen next year when, at this rate with Disney trying to sweep away the Oscars and stuff like that, let's see how Inside Out will win. So with that said, see you later, dudes! Am I good or what? Hey guys, this is AniMat, and welcome back to the annual Oscar and Annie's vlog. Now, for those of you that might know the deal of what's going to be going on, I'm just mostly going to be reflecting on my thoughts on what pretty much happened on this year's Oscars, both like for the winners and the show, and also I'll mostly be talking about the animated portions of it. So mostly like going deep into the winners of Best Animated Short and Best Animated Feature. And also at the end, I will put in my extra thoughts on what happened at this year's Annie Awards. So it's going to be rather interesting. Now, to start things off, I want to mention that I did something a little bit different for this year's Oscars, and I decided that this will pretty much affect my view on like the award show itself and stuff like that, that I decided I'm going to care a bit less about it. Actually, not a bit, like I'll just care less about the Oscars, because my problem, I will admit, in the past and also in some of the previous Oscar vlogs is that I put it at such a high regard, the Academy Awards and stuff like that, that like it really did mean something, and like it would probably explain why sometimes I would rage every time like I would see, well, not rage, but like, you know, feel a bit offended every time the Academy would show a really bad movie and stuff like that. It's kind of like a distaste to Hollywood and movies in general and stuff like that. But I have to admit, last year was a bit of a revelation for me because of two big instances that pretty much happened. The first and foremost was when the Lego Movie was not nominated for Best Animated Feature, and it caused such a massive outrage on the internet, and just looking at everybody raging simply for the fact that the Lego Movie was not nominated, and I knew for a fact that like 99% of those people that raged, they did not see all or even any of the nominees for Best Animated Feature. Like, okay, maybe there are some that have seen like maybe Box Trolls and How to Train Your Dragon 2 and Big Hero 6, but I highly doubt anybody has even seen The Tale of the Princess Kaguya or Song of the Sea. And for that, it gave me a bit of a it kind of made me lose a bit of faith in the Lego Movie, and also some of the fan base, like some of the people that do follow and they absolutely adore the Lego Movie and stuff like that. It kind of made me lose respect for that movie a bit. Like, I'm not saying it's a bad movie, it's still really good, but like, yeah, like with the kind of audience that that it has, and like how they react to something as minor as being nominated for Best Animated Feature at the Oscars, it's like, I will admit, I know it sounds terrible, but it did make me lose a bit of respect to the Lego Movie in general. And another reason is actually the fact that Big Hero 6 won Best Animated Feature during that year. Now, I don't really have a problem with the Big Hero 6 itself winning Best Animated Feature. It's not really that. It's mostly the voting process. When you actually look behind the scenes and you find articles regarding how the members of the Academy vote and stuff like that, like the grand majority of them, they don't even care. It shows that like they pretty much treat animation in general like it's kids stuff and like all that kind of stuff. Like they didn't even bother. They just voted for Big Hero 6 because it was the thing that like they went and see with their kids, like that's in recent memory, and that's it. They didn't even bother. And there are some members, of course, like they're a part of the angry fanboys that like they hated that the Lego Movie was not nominated and stuff like that. In fact, there was one member, they even raged and they called it like like, they called the other nominees, like, especially The Tale of the Princess Kaguya, some Chinese effing thing and stuff like that. So, like, you could see the amount of disrespect that animation in general, like, it would get towards the Academy. And, it really is a bummer and stuff like that. It really does leave such a bad taste. And especially, like, for this year, there is that massive controversy of the lack of diversity, and, like, there are only white actors and actresses nominated for Best Actor and Best Actress and stuff like that. Yeah, basically, I no longer put the Oscars in such a high regard, and, like, I just move on, and whatever stupid thing they do, like, I'm gonna put my cares on the side. Like, I'll leave it to, I don't know, I'll leave it to, like, more of the animation portions of it. But anyways, with that said, let's start off with the order that they would usually do, and let's take a little look into Best Animated Short. Now, the big winner here is actually Bear Story, and to be honest, this was a massive surprise for me. This is mostly because with, like, in social media, and I see what everybody is talking and stuff like that, when it comes to Best Animated Short, I would expect, kind of, a bit like everyone else, I was expecting, like, The World of Tomorrow would win, considering that it is Don Hertzfeldt, and more of his, like, especially with his contemporary style, and that it is very metaphorical, that it does have, like, this deep message, and, like, it can be pretty weird at times, and a few things that don't seem pretty comprehensive. Like, I thought that was going to be the surefire way that it's going to win. Like, it's also very artistic in that manner. But, like, there were other things that I was rooting for as well. There was also Pixar's Sanjay's Super Team, which, yeah, everybody knows that I criticized on Sanjay's design, but a lot of people seem to forget that I really liked that short. It was amazing. In fact, I would even go as far and say that it definitely was one of Pixar's best shorts, and I remember after seeing that one, like, I thought to myself that I wouldn't mind seeing that as a full-length feature film. Like, the concept is so interesting, and some of the art styles in it is just so fascinating and so creative, and, like, just a really awesome short. It was absolutely fantastic, and definitely one of Pixar's best. But then there is also Prologue, done by Richard Williams, and I'll say this now, out of all the animated shorts, and even for animated features, this is the one that is best animated. In fact, Prologue actually has some of the best animation that I've ever seen, period. It is phenomenal. And, well, it does help that it is done by master animator Richard Williams, so, like, this is some, like, you will expect some extremely high level of animation there. But I will say this, like, considering that it is a prologue for a passion, like, kind of this passion project that Richard Williams wants to do, and, like, he wants to turn this into a movie, like, there really isn't that much story, but I will say, like, my god, I did not expect it to be that brutal. I mean, I'm just gonna say this, someone got frickin' stabbed in the grundle. It's that painful, like, oh my god, the brutality is real on that one. There is another one that I will mention, that I didn't mention, but We Can't Live Without Cosmos. I will admit, that one is a lot more story-driven and stuff like that. It's not really the greatest in terms of its artistry, but it definitely is, like, it does have some heart, and it does have a bit of an interesting story. Actually, on second thought, this is the one that has the most heart, considering that this is mostly a story about friendship and stuff like that, so it definitely is cute, but I didn't really have that much high hopes. So my bet, realistically, my bet was for World of Tomorrow, but for myself, I really wanted to see either Sanjay's Super Team or Prologue to win. But for Bear Story to actually win, making it the first ever Academy Award for the country of Chile, and also the first ever Academy Award for Best Animated Short for Latin America in general, I can understand why it won, because that one pretty much has everything into it. It has a message about the cruelty of animals in the circus and stuff like that. It has an interesting story. It has a lot of heart, considering it also deals with family and stuff like that. Also, like, it has some pretty good animation. Like, it can be a bit stiff at times, But, like, considering that we do see, like, we mostly look into the mechanics and stuff like that, I would say that the animation, it is very reminiscent to the Book of Life. So, yeah, I could definitely understand the Academy's point of view and why they picked Bear Story to be the winner. Now, anyways, with all that said and done, let's talk about the big winner, Best Animated Feature, and of course, I don't think anybody is surprised, it is Inside Out. And the thing is that I can understand that a lot of people are probably angry because, yeah, this is another Academy Award win for Pixar and stuff like that. It's like they always win. Like, they say that this is actually the 8th Academy Award that Pixar actually won. And there really isn't any surprise there. But the big question is, and I don't think a lot of people have ever thought of it, it's like, yes, we all know that Inside Out won, but should it win? And I think that's the better question. And for me, I would definitely say yes. Inside Out has every right to actually win the Oscars. And among all of them, like, they definitely are some good contenders. Shaun the Sheep movie, like, I felt like it was the one that, like, had the least chance, considering that's just there because it's the staple stop-motion animated feature. And no matter what happens, stop-motion animated films, they always get nominated for Best Animated Feature, no matter what. Ever since, like, the Best Animated Feature category was invented, they always put in stop-motion animated films, so there's no surprise that Shaun the Sheep is actually there. Boy in the World, I will admit, that's the one that I feel like it is very Don Hertzfeldt-like. It does have that style. It has that simple look into it. And also, it doesn't really have much of a story, but it has a very strong message, and also a deep one, regarding Brazilian society and stuff like that. So, it's the kind of, this is the kind of animation that you would normally expect be placed in Best Animated Short, but this one is like, it's basically feature length, so they put it, so I could see why they put it in there. There is also When Marnie Was There, which, oh my god, I have to admit, like, that has, you know, like, when you see those memes of, like, all the feels? Like, my god, this is one of, if not the most heartfelt feature film made by Studio Ghibli. Like, oh my god, it's all, like, it doesn't have the brutality, but it almost have the same, like, the same feelings that you would expect from Grave of the Fireflies. My god. Like, I think after seeing this and The Secret World of Arrietty, I could probably be a fan of Hiromasa Yonebayashi. That was definitely fantastic work, but I can understand why the Academy would put that one there as well. I could see it would most likely be for sentimental values, because technically it is the last Studio Ghibli film for until, like, a while, until they know what to do with themselves and stuff like that. So I can understand why they would put it there for sentimental value. And the closest one, I would say, like, the second placer for Best Animated Feature is hands down Anomalisa. It definitely is this unique animated feature, this strong story. It's very character driven, and, like, the way they would symbolize things, like how we see the point of view of the main character, it definitely is fascinating. But hands down, there's no doubt about it, Inside Out definitely does deserve it, because not only it was the best animated feature of 2015, it's one of the best animated features of the entire decade. It like, the originality, it is so admirable. The artistry, what they've done with the animation is like very impressive with how they do, like, how they keep things down to earth in the real world. And when we go into Riley's mind, we see, like, this fun, cartoony-ish, creative world that's full of color. That is great. And, like, the characters are absolutely lovable, they're fantastic, they're funny, they're enjoyable. Like, everything about it, like, just the concepts of it are so strong. It also makes it one of the strongest Pixar films in years. Like, this is the best Pixar film since Toy Story 3. It is that incredible. So, I would say absolutely. Like, is it predictable that Inside Out won? Absolutely. But does it deserve to have the Oscar for Best Animated Feature? Absolutely. That one as well. Now, with that said, since we got all the other, all the animation stuff, let's take a moment to also look into the other winners. And, yeah, I pretty much have my, like pretty much my predictions with what I did for the Oscars and stuff like that. And I have to admit, this is the best that I've done. I've got like a good chunk. I've got about half of it, I would say, or maybe like more or less half of it. There are a lot of surprises, of course, but mostly because of my job at filmbook.com as a film journalist and stuff, like, I do pay attention to, like, some of the repetitive themes with what's going on with the other awards, like the Golden Globes, the BAFTAs, the Screen Actors Guild, the Critics' Choice Awards and stuff like that. And, like, you can see a bit of the patterns here, but there are also a lot of surprises. And, of course, the big winner was Mad Max. It won 6 awards, which I can nail them down to you here. It's got Best Sound Editing, Best Sound Mixing, Best Makeup and Hairstyle. It also got Best Costume Design. It got Best Film Editing, and I believe that's pretty much it. But yeah, I knew for a fact that Mad Max is definitely going to be that movie that's a little bit similar to Gravity during that year, where it's going to win the most awards, but it's not going to win, like, the big ones, like Best Director, Best Actor, and Best Picture. It definitely is like, I'm not going to deny it. I have seen, Mad Max Fury Road. It definitely is such an awesome movie. Definitely one of the best action movies I've seen in years. It's definitely cool. It's definitely awesome and extremely well made. So it definitely deserves that. But the one thing that I knew that it was going to happen, it was also The Revenant. Like, that one actually won a lot of the big awards. Of course, it won for Best Cinematography. Of course, it also won for Best Director, which I am wondering, I haven't really done my research on it, but is it possible that this is the first time ever that there's a director that actually won Best Director at the Academy Awards 2 years in a row? Because it is Alejandro G. Iñárritu, and last year he did win for Birdman and stuff like that, so I am a little bit curious on that one. And of course, probably the biggest thing that everybody's going to remember, this is the year that finally Leonardo DiCaprio won an Oscar finally. It just takes a freaking bear beating him up to finally get that Oscar. Like, I guess it is cute that, for some strange reason, the internet has this strange fascination that Leonardo DiCaprio had no Oscar, but finally the time came and everybody seems to be so happy about it. And, I haven't fully seen The Revenant, but no, I am one of those people that finally it is happy that, I am truly happy that Leonardo DiCaprio did win his Oscar. I guess the internet now will be just focusing on Johnny Depp to wonder, if he's ever going to get his. But the big thing I will say that it is possibly the biggest shocker of them all is actually for Best Picture. And honestly, I was expecting The Revenant to win everything. It's got the big ones like Best Actor and Best Director, but no, it actually won to Spotlight. Now, I'm gonna say this right now. I don't hate Spotlight. I heard so many amazing things, and I am highly interested to see Spotlight. I've heard a lot of great stuff. But I am surprised over the fact that it's only won 2 Academy Awards, and it's somehow, one of which, it got away with the big one, Best Picture. The only other one that it did win was for Best Original Screenplay, which for me personally, I would have loved to see Inside Out win, but I knew realistically it was going to be Spotlight because it won all the other ones. But yeah, never did I expect that The Revenant would be the big winner. But also, I would like to mention that there are a few other stuff that I am a bit disappointed that it didn't get the win and stuff like that. The first one being Star Wars The Force Awakens. Unfortunately, it didn't win any other ones. I was mostly rooting for it for Best Visual Effects because, it really does look amazing. But I did feel a bit mixed that Ex Machina actually won. I have seen Ex Machina, and I will admit, the visual effects there is just, it's phenomenal. It's flawless. It's beautiful. It's amazing. They did a fantastic job. But, I do feel mixed. It's but I love Star Wars. I want to see Star Wars get away with an Oscar. But, yeah, no, but the one thing I will say, I know I said I'm going to put my cares aside, but there is one thing that I did have to take my cares, and honestly, it did make me a bit mad. It was for Best Original Song, and you guys know what I mean. The thing is that, honestly, I was like everybody else. I was amazed by Lady Gaga's performance for Till It Happened to You, considering that it was other than Leo winning the Oscar, it was the biggest thing of the night. Like, Joe Biden came in and like he got like this massive applause for his speech regarding that rape is bad and that all survivors who got sexually assaulted, they need to stand strong and be together and stuff like that. And then you got this amazing song of like Lady Gaga, like she is singing Till It Happens to You, and you see her, she is so passionate about it. You can see how strong she is. Like, even when she's on the piano, it's like, it happens to you! Like, she is so passionate about it. It was basically, what that song is this year, it was the same thing as last year with Glory from Selma. But no, that actually didn't win. The winner was actually Writing on the Wall from Spectre, and oh my god, that was one of the low points of the Oscars. Everything about it was actually terrible. The dude singing it, I think it was Sam Smith, he sounded like he had a freaking sock in his mouth, and like, just everything about that song, it was just awful. No, like, when I was on Twitter, nobody liked it whatsoever. It was it was badly sung and stuff like that, and it was just unpleasant altogether. And seeing that one win over that, over like the song about like to tell like people who got raped to stand strong, be together, you are a strong survivor and stuff like that, that's just absolute bullcrap. And also the fact that Sam Smith, I think that's his name, Sam Smith, I'll try to correct that during editing, that Sam Smith tried his best to soften the blow, saying like, oh, I am so proud as an openly gay man to win the Oscar and stuff like that. It's like, no, dude, now is not the time. It is not the time to bring out the gay card, dude. I understand, I have full respect with what you're doing, but dude, now is not the time. You need to realize that you did a terrible performance, and also the fact that your crummy little song won over Lady Gaga's powerful message. And you know, the saddest thing about all that is that I heard in interviews and stuff that even Sam Smith himself feels utterly humiliated about it. Like, I shouldn't be harping on him too much about it, because even he admitted that he said it was the worst moment of his life, and even he admitted that he sung it so terribly. Like, the way he did it there, it was just awful, and it is hands down one of the most unpleasant moments during that night. Now, okay, so now we got all the winners up. We mentioned all of this. Now, let's get on to the most interesting part, and that is the show itself. And I'm going to say this, over the past years, they pretty much sucked, and the only good one so far that I've seen was pretty much with Seth MacFarlane. Like, he at least put on a pretty good show at the Oscars. But lately, with people like Ellen DeGeneres and Neil Patrick Harris, they honestly kind of sucked at the Oscars. They were just they were boring. They tried to be funny, but the jokes were bad. And like, overall, it was an unpleasant experience. It was just, everything about it was unpleasant. But I had so much high hopes for Chris Rock. He is a great comic, so I had such high hopes when he was going to be the host of this year's Oscars. Especially the fact that we have the controversy of, like, hashtag Oscars so white. We got the major diversity controversy and stuff like that. Like, I'm sure that Chris Rock will bring in something amazing on the table. But unfortunately, my god, this one seems to suck as well. Like, the more I think about it, the more I feel like I'm cherishing the time when Seth MacFarlane was the host at the Oscars. It's like, that seems to be looking better and better and better every time there's a new person in there. And honestly, I don't think I can blame Chris Rock. I think it's just the Academy in general. They seem to always neuter their hosts, no matter how great they are, like Ellen DeGeneres or Neil Patrick Harris. But with Chris Rock, my god, it's just like, it's like there are a few jokes that they were maybe funny, but a lot of them seem to be such a miss. And like, Chris Rock tries his best, like, to be provocative with the Chinese kids and stuff like that, but they don't work. And a lot of the times, Like, I feel like he's trying to say something, but they're not funny. And the worst part is how they handle the diversity controversy with Oscars So White and stuff like that. Like, they just pretty much treat it as a joke, and they try to make it a joke, like, again and again. They're pretty much beating a dead horse at this point. And all the jokes that they've done and stuff like that, they're just not funny. It feels like the Academy is not taking this issue seriously, and they're just joking around about it that, oh, we're so white, we're only giving white people the Oscars, and and also like trying to bring in, oh, if black people are in like Academy Award nominated and winning movies and stuff like that. It's just, there's nothing funny about it. It's everything about it just feels dumb. Now, I'm not gonna say that everything about it is dumb. Okay, it certainly wasn't funny, it certainly wasn't entertaining, but I will admit it does get the point across. Like, there are some things that Chris Rock did say that it is very truthful. Like, some of the stuff that he says seriously about, like, the diversity issue, it is very on point. The fact that, like, we shouldn't make such a big deal that no black actors, black actresses, or any minorities are not nominated for, like, Best Actor or Best Actress. That's not a real issue when it comes to diversity or treating minorities and stuff like that. The real issue should be, like, how we treat minorities and all those people trying to make a living in general, because sometimes it's not easy being a minority and stuff like that, and that is very truthful. But also, like, even though it doesn't matter, there's also another message. I think it was when Chris Rock tries to interview people in Compton, like in, he went to a theater, and, like, he interviewed some people, and there was one message that was very strong that I remember, was when what it means for a minority to be nominated in one of the big categories, like for Best Director or Best Actor or Best Actress or stuff like that. Like, pretty much what it means to them. So, at the very least, like, how they handled the controversy was not great, but at least when it comes to the message itself, they do get the message across. They do, like, when they have something serious to say, they do get it on point. Oh, and there's also a good one of, like, for Kevin Hart, when he speaks, well, like, when he spoke to the black people and also the minorities and stuff like that, he mentions how, like, it doesn't matter, like, if you're nominated or not, just remember to, like, the important thing is just to have fun, and then the rewards will come eventually. Just be good, like, remember to have fun and be good at your craft and stuff like that. And that definitely is a really good message. So that basically is the whole thing with Oscars So White. They handled it badly, but they do have a few, like, good points across. Actually, there is something that I highly did enjoy, and some of you probably are surprised that I have yet to mention it, that I thought it was actually really cool, is the way that they actually presented, like, Best Animated Short and Best Animated Feature. Now, for Best Animated Short, they actually brought in the Minions to present Best Animated Short. And, yeah, like, the Minions aren't necessarily nominated for Best Animated Feature and stuff like that, but keep in mind, it is the first ever non-Disney animated feature to surpass $1 billion, so they gotta be in somehow. And, I will admit, like, the slapstick comedy bit that they've done, it is pretty cute. Like, it's not the best that I've seen of the Minions, but then again, it's definitely more entertaining and funny than what we got with the whole show of the Oscars and stuff like that. So, it definitely was cute to see the Minions presenting it. But what's even better is actually when they brought in Buzz Lightyear and Woody from Toy Story to present Best Animated Feature, and that was actually really cool. It's a great tribute to commemorate the 20th anniversary of Toy Story, which is still unbelievable. My God. It's like Toy Story is already 20. My God, already. Like, I'm almost the same age as Toy Story, and already I feel freaking old. And, no, but I will say, it definitely was entertaining, and it really is great to see them reminisce old times, like from Toy Story 1 and Toy Story 2 and stuff like that. It was really a lot of fun, and it was definitely great to see them be the presenters. And it's actually, I love it whenever I see, like, animated characters present the categories and stuff like that. I remember when back during the days of The Incredibles, that Edna Mode from The Incredibles came in, and she actually announced the category, like, she listed the categories for Best Costume Design, and that was awesome. And that's something I would really like to see, is more characters come in and, you know, be presenters to announce the nominees and stuff. That is actually really cool, and definitely a real highlight. Also, I just want to mention that going back into Inside Out and how predictable it is that it won Best Animated Feature, have you guys actually noticed that, like, the animators who did that little bit with Woody and Buzz, they actually worked on the lip sync for Buzz and Woody to actually say Inside Out, Peak Doctor, and all that kind of stuff. I guess it pretty much is that predictable that Inside Out won. Okay, but anyways, that's pretty much it with my thoughts on the Oscars in its entirety. Now, there is one more thing I would like to mention, and that is regarding the Annie Awards. Yes, since this year it was also the Annie Awards, the one thing I was a bit disappointed with myself is that this year, unfortunately, I wasn't able to go and see the Annie Awards. Like, I wasn't able to go and watch it, like, on live stream or stuff like that. It was mostly because during that time I was on vacation, and, well, you know how it is when you go on a trip and stuff like that. Usually the internet is not the best, especially when it comes to live streaming, so you can't really do that. So basically, I only saw, like, who won at the Annies, and the biggest thing is that Inside Out, of course it was the big winner, but I didn't expect it to be that big of a winner. It got away with a total of 10 Annie Awards. Like, the only other ones that it didn't win when it comes to animated features is actually The Good Dinosaur won for Best Animated Effects, which doesn't really help Pixar's case considering that it won all of them. And also Boy in the World won for Best Animated Feature. But yeah, basically the whole thing is that Inside Out pretty much dominated every single category. Well, almost every single category. And, you know, honestly, I feel a bit mixed with this one as well. Like, I want to be happy for Inside Out that it was such a tremendous winner, but considering the controversy that happened before with the Annie Awards, I can't help but feel pretty suspicious. If you guys know back in like in the early 2010s and stuff like that, there was the giant controversy of how DreamWorks kind of rigged the Annie Awards so that How to Train Your Dragon won every single category, including Best Animated Feature, and pretty much shafting every other animated film during that time, especially Tangled and Toy Story 3, which I think everybody can like at least admit they should have gotten away with at least one Annie or two, like not give everything to How to Train Your Dragon. But I will say that it is a bit less conspicuous than it was during that controversy because, number one, like, everybody had a fair share when it comes to the nominations. All the animated features, except for Strange Magic, rightfully, they all got at least, like, a few nominations and stuff like that. While during the How to Train Your Dragon controversy, in that one, they actually pretty much put How to Train Your Dragon everywhere. There's even one category that was nothing but How to Train Your Dragon. So, like, that raised a lot of suspiciousness. Oh, and also, like, number two, it's also regarding the movies that were released. Now, back in 2010, like I said, like, Tangled and Toy Story 3, they were almost, like, pretty much, they were as praised as How to Train Your Dragon. That raised another major suspicion how to Train Your Dragon took everything. With Inside Out, during that year in 2015, there is legit no other animated feature that was really up to that level of greatness to Inside Out. I mean, yeah, there were some good movies released, like, there was the Peanuts movie, there was Shaun the Sheep movie, there was The Good Dinosaur, there was Minions, but none of them were really as good as Inside Out. They were not really up to that level per se. But I will admit, maybe there could have been, like, maybe one or two other Annies that could have been given to something else, like, maybe honestly, I feel like the Peanuts movie probably should have gotten at least one Annie Award in terms of its animation, because, like, what Blue Sky did with that movie was just absolutely amazing, and they should have gotten something for it. but too bad that it was released during the same year as Inside Out. But maybe overall it's just pure coincidence, and like maybe they did something like this too soon from the massive controversies they had before, which is why I still have my like suspicions and stuff like that maybe Pixar did something. But then again, it could be something like back when The Incredibles actually got away with 10 Annie Awards, and like everybody was so amazed during that time. So maybe it was something like that. Like, I want to be happy for Inside Out for winning all those Annie Awards, and it definitely deserves a lot of them. Like, Best Animated Feature, Best Voice Acting for Phyllis Smith as Sadness, Best Writing, and all that kind of stuff. Like Best Directing as well. Like, it definitely deserves the big ones. But, like, I can't help but feel pretty suspicious that it won, like, a grand majority of them. And that's going to be pretty much it for this year's vlog about the Oscars and the Annies. I just want to thank you guys so much for watching. And, for next year, I guess I'm gonna say, let's just wait and see for Moana to win?
Or Zootopia!
See you later, dudes!